fastly make your way into the tent. Do not exit unless informed.
Into the anti-seagull, the seagull-proof tent that protects them from their things.
Oh, we're recording. Oh,
that's what we tend to do here. But anyway, so I was just quite shocked that in like inland at a school, kids are like really having to watch their backs on the playground for seagulls coming down, and like she said that some of the children are terrified. I love the word terrified because that's big, it's impactful. Yeah. Welcome to the Harry and Co podcast show. Please like and subscribe for more. What's the worst thing you've ever woken up to?
Oh.
Can be a
You know
human.
what? I think no, I wouldn't say any human. I would just say like a loud noise.
Ooh.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like if it's like a fire alarm going off or
Yeah.
your neighbours or someone screaming in the street.
God.
Like that's just the worst, isn't it? To wake up to something like a loud noise.
It depends if you can get back to sleep. I woke up to something horrendous the other night. So basically, English houses, obviously we have the loft hatches.
Mm-hmm.
Not normally in a bedroom to get into like the attic, right? So it's like there's a small hatch in the ceiling and you can go in and maybe you store something in the roof space and stuff like this, right? So in my bedroom, I don't know why it's not in the hallway.
You
or
have it
above
in
the
your
stairs.
bedroom?
Yeah, for some reason it's in my bedroom near the door is the loft hatch into the
Okay.
attic, into the loft, right? Anyway, it was a really really windy night. And I don't know kind of how this happened. If like I've got the window slightly open or something, and think about like air pressure and things coming in and out of the house, and then maybe there's gaps in like the roof, where the tiles at the end on the roof, and anyway, maybe air can move. And basically, it was one of these stormy nights recently that was super windy, and there was just the wind was blowing away, big gusts. You could hear it on the windows and stuff. But I was asleep at this point. I was quite content and quite happy. And then there was this massive bang. I was like, like I properly like sort of shit myself. I was like, what the hell's going on? And I looked up and and now I know what's gone on, right? The wind and the pressure, but something somehow had blown the loft hatch up. Like
Did it like snap it?
Well, it's like a wooden board
Yeah.
sat there, so you can push it up with your hand, right?
Yeah.
But because of pressures and stuff, and it's quite heavy, it's blown up into the loft and turned slightly. So anyway, there's a massive bang. And basically, then I look up and the loft's open, and I'm staring into like the black space up there. I'm thinking,
I would have been like someone's in the house.
I was.
Did you have like a baseball bat next to you? I would have been going hunting.
But I was like, what the fuck? And then imagination, right? I was thinking like I'm seeing these eyes like in the dark. I think, because you're immediately looking for somebody, right?
Yeah,
you think someone's up there, like.
Are you afraid of the dark or anything like that?
Not really.
I've got like this one thing where, so I'm not afraid of the dark. Okay, I'm just afraid of maybe what's in the dark because I can't see.
Yeah.
And whenever I go up to bed of a night, I can't just walk calmly up the stairs.
Oh.
I actually have to run because for some reason, which is quite funny because then I'm out of breath when I get to the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I think someone's going to grab my leg. And it's like my biggest thing. Like I literally to the point where sometimes when I'm running up the stairs, I'm lifting my leg really hard. Yeah. Still like last night, I can't do it. And I used to have.
Is that because you turn the light off downstairs?
Yeah,
so you're chasing the light sort of thing.
Yeah. So
I did that when I was like 5, but not when I'm 42.
I know, but isn't that weird? So like,
it is when you're old enough to know better.
when I first got with my girlfriend, obviously my wife now.
Yeah.
I used to be like, you have to wait downstairs and she had to follow me back up.
Amazing.
But then she would be like joking and grab my leg, and then I think it just fueled the fear. So now, obviously we're married now, so she just walks up, doesn't care. Off you go. Good luck with that. I'm over this.
Yeah.
I had to put like my torch on my phone, and I literally to the point where I'll be looking back, walking up the stairs backwards.
The hands coming at you.
But for why? Like, isn't it weird how like we just?
Is it an open staircase?
No, so it's got a railing on it. Is it a railing? Like.
Yeah, but could someone grab you through it?
And this is what I
Mine's
get scared
closed,
of.
like so you wouldn't.
But also, I just feel like I'm so
oh God, you're making me like creep out.
No,
now.
but like I'm so like slow going up the stairs. So I'm like, if anyone could just grab my foot.
It's not gonna happen.
And I'm
though.
like, it just happens over. No, it's never happened.
I totally want to speak to your wife, prank you.
No.
And be there hiding, and when the light goes off, I'll come and grab your ankle. What would you do?
I think. Well, I practice. So I practice.
I'm gonna scare you now tonight. You're gonna be like,
no,
you've
don't
got a
you
technique.
dare. Well, just like with the leg back, like I practice occasionally. Just.
Oh my God. Nobody's ever grabbed you yet.
No, I know, but
In
you've
all
got to
these
be
years,
prepared. You've got to be
this is
prepared for
true,
every situation.
Ankle grabbing
Absolutely.
monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the same when I was 5.
It probably comes from when I was a child. We had someone break into our house.
Oh. Oh my God! Here's another.
Was a Nicole story. No. But we had someone break into a house when I was a kid, and I was just lying in bed. Well, I was asleep, but I just heard these noises, and I was like, "That's really weird." And someone like, this is creepy as, and it still kind of plays in my head sometimes. But my door opened, and it was like, oh
no,
not yeah. So I was lying in bed, and I just remember going, "Mum." And it just kept going, ooh, like, that was awful. I was like, Dad, Mum. Anyway, they didn't respond normally, obviously, because I just thought they were just checking on me, which they did. And they didn't. And then I just heard, and then I got up.
God, this is
and
like
then
heart-beating stuff.
And then I just literally, I just heard someone just run out. And then I just screamed like, Mum, Dad, someone's been in the house. But it was the noise of the door. Do you know what I mean? Like someone had been like, ugh.
And they were there.
And then, and then we were there. So then we found out. So my dad left his keys in the car in the shed. So the shed, he'd forgotten to lock the shed door. Yeah. But obviously in Australia, we have sheds that are, actually in the UK too, sheds that are connected to the house. So you've got a door that goes through from the shed through to the house.
Yeah, okay.
But there's also a door going out into the garden. Yeah. So he'd left his keys in the car and then didn't lock the back. So someone's literally just come through our shed, got the keys, unlocked the door, and then come in. They obviously stole money and things like that, and stole bits and pieces from the house. But I just got up. But yeah, obviously, if I wouldn't have, it's in good old Townsville. Yeah, absolutely. Mount Louisa.
Did they have was it a robber with like white and black?
No, I didn't see him. It was black. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe it all triggers from something, doesn't it? All triggers from something. So yeah. So obviously, Dad called the police and.
This is where your ankle grabbing fears come from.
Probably, because I just imagine it's a little bit different though, isn't it? But I think it does. It has to come from there. I was
waiting for you to say someone got stabbed or...
No, so it wasn't that dramatic.
Well, it's still bad though.
It still plays in my head.
Yeah. And someone was there. Were you like that, holding on to the duvet?
I was well scared, but for some reason, who do I think I am? I just jumped out of bed. Like, why didn't I put the duvet on and just hide? But then I thought someone was in my house, so I kind of got to protect my house. Like,
yeah.
Not that my dad's in the house and can protect the house.
Did they caught the person? Or?
It was years ago. I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? You were
young. If they caught them and then like if they were some big psycho killer that had murdered 20 people, or whether it was just, do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I think it was just kids. Do you know what I mean? Like where in Townsville where I grew up, there's just kids. They just run the streets. It's kind of like
that's the way it goes. if there's not a bull attacking you, it's kids trying to break in and steal your doona.
Yeah, my doona. I miss calling it a doona.
You shouldn't stop.
Duvet just sounds so posh.
Is it French?
Duvet.
Duvet.
Oh, is it French? That sounds
come
French.
On.
Is it?
Duvet.
So,
like, I don't want to offend French people, but I've been learning Italian. I've been learning Italian, which is like there's a lot of similarities. I think more similarities with Spanish words, but then some people will say there's quite a lot in common with French. But like, and I get Italian. It's not like German language that's really coarse and like sounds aggressive, and it's not like French, which for me sounds really just blah, 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 like croissant. It's very like like the French language. That's not me. It's not me being offensive. I feel like I could never learn French because of the way it sounds.
How they pronounce their words and things.
Like, I mean, very romantic and everything.
It is very romantic, isn't it?
But I just feel like I wouldn't know where to start.
No. I've never actually... I did... In Australia, they
Australia. I love the way you say Australia.
Growing up, they teach Japanese.
Oh, because you're that part of the world, aren't you?
Yeah, so we had Japanese. But I got to be honest, I didn't learn much. Didn't learn much at all.
Do you know any Japanese now? I get that because that's the part of the world you're in, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that's quite.
No, I never pursued it. Do you know what I mean? I never kept going. So it was like, when you're young and you kind of learn bits and pieces. I think I maybe learned to count and ABCs and things like that. But I never actually pursued it. So I never. But I would say that that's one thing in my life now, because I literally heard you the other day talking Italian.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to, that's one thing that I wish my daughter, I want my daughter to maybe be able to speak another language, because it's just fascinating.
Can you get her to speak Australian maybe? So that she's bilingual.
She definitely says "G'day, mate" really well. She does. And
what's her accent though?
Mixed, bless her. She's definitely got a lot of my wife, which is like Yorkshire.
That's brilliant.
But we have Australian classes of an evening.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just teach her all the slang. So I'm like, say "G'day, mate," and she's "G'day, mate." Like, she does it really well.
That's brilliant. I think there's something beautiful about different accents and cultures and language, and
I do, and that's what I love. Like I obviously I always thought, I never knew I was going to marry a British person. So I was very much like, okay, if she's going to grow up in Yorkshire, she's going to know my home. She's going to know some Australian slang. I did try and teach her. I know we were talking about thongs before. I did say that the other day when I had flip flops out, and I was like, I called my daughter over, and I was like, what are these? And she just looked at me. I said, they're thongs. And then my wife came through, Nicole. And I was like, well, they are.
Yeah.
Well, you got to know.
Yeah.
You got to know half of where you're from,
So in Italy, they're ciabatta, what's that? What ciabatta to you is the bread?
Oh, the bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, ciabatta, yeah.
So that's what they call flip-flops in Italy?
You're kidding.
Ciabatta, or with the E maybe, or ciabatta.
So they're like, oh, can you grab my ciabatta?
Ciabatta, yeah.
Ciabatta.
Yeah, however.
I'm awful at languages.
But because they're it'd be like putting your feet on two pieces of that type of bread. And I'm like, brilliant. Say it as it is.
That is
flip-flops. If you like flip-flops for an Italian, it's going to be a wonderful set of words, right?
Can you say flip-flops in Italian?
They wouldn't know what. I don't know, but that's international, isn't it? Flip-flops. If you go to a beach and they speak English, you want some flip-flops.
Yeah. It is international.
But thongs, which ones you want? The red, lacy ones or the black ones?
Yeah, the sandals, they're pretty cool.
Sandals. What does sandals mean? That's like leather, though. Sandals to me means a bit more Jesus-y.
Yeah.
Jesus creepers.
I would say,
Jesus creepers.
Yeah.
Creakers or creepers?
Creepers.
Jesus creepers. I like some leather sandals.
Yeah, you would suit leather sandals. I can see you in the summer with some shorts on, walking down the street with your hat on.
With a hat in the middle of the summer.
Jesus sandals. Could see it.
Jesus creepers.
Yeah, just walking down the shambles, just down here.
Creeping around.
Absolutely.
So I was talking with a friend, and they, about weird stuff, and their weird facts of the day was that everybody's a girl. This is probably nonsense, but they were saying all babies are girls, and then they grow a penis.
I've heard this.
Oh,
no, I actually have heard this. We need to call someone in the medical industry.
Have you got anyone on speed dial?
No, not really right now. Well, I probably do, but I think it is
wow. So I've literally brought that to the table, and you were you're straight on board with it.
Yeah, I've definitely heard it.
All babies are female until they grow a penis.
Yeah, because it's I don't know.
The chromosomes. I was going to say loads of scientific words.
Inappropriate thing I was about to say.
Chromosomes, X and Y's.
That is a thing, which explains a lot.
Oh, I'm dribbling. Sorry, I'm just dribbling a little bit. It happens from time to time. But if people are listening and they've got some of the stuff we talk about is absolutely nonsense, so they'll be like, it's not true. But it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter.
No, it's just what we think, really, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. There's loads of people on the internet and stuff talking absolute rubbish. Mostly politicians. Ooh.
Oh, touchy.
No, but you know what I mean. Babies are all female until they grow a penis. We can roll with that and say it's true. Also, if someone credible says anything on the internet, people believe it.
I feel like someone credible told me that though, and I'm just trying to think who it was. You know what? Probably my mum.
It's the first thing I'm going to Google tonight when I get to bed. You just got to be careful what you put in, though, right?
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But
probably pictures.
But this leads on to something, right? How if somebody like of significant power or whatever says something on the internet, or influencers, right? If they say something, like, I'm pretty good. Like, I'll think about stuff like in a bit of a developed thinking way and analyze what I'm watching and understand, where's this information come from? Like, is there other...
You just don't take information as a grain of salt.
But people do.
Yeah.
What a world we live in, where somebody with, so many followers on the internet can say something and everyone will think it's true. It's
Would you
gospel.
say that you're a gullible person at all?
No, I don't think so. But I don't know, with the polar bears.
You proper believe in those polar bears?
It took me a minute to think about that. Is it a brown bear or a white bear?
Aren't they?
Isn't that a polar bear?
I was mortified. I could not believe I said that.
No,
I was
it's
just
fine.
Like, absolute.
It's fine though. But people will say stuff that's not, and you've got all the like celebrity bloggers and bloggers and influencers, and they'll say something and it's true.
I try my best, but I would say I'm a very gullible person. And I kind of I'm just one of those people that just trust what people say. Like, why would you lie?
Yeah.
So I'm just, obviously there are people out there that do, but I'm very much I just trust people. And so I do I get what you're saying. Like, I do analyze. Like, obviously someone says something to me and I'm just like, is that true? But then I'm like, yeah, but they told me. So it must be true. I'm that kind of person. But isn't it funny that everyone's completely different?
Yeah. Like the way they take on information. But also, if someone like, you'll have friends that you can trust. Like, you're going to trust your wife in some. So if they say something to you, that they're already in your eyes quite credible in a way, aren't they? Course, so it's it comes with. But it's a dangerous world where someone can, and I'll go if I hear a story somewhere, and I'm just like, whoa. Oh, do you know? And it's something big. I'll be like, I'll just go straight on the BBC website or something. And if it's not there at all, it's probably not. The major news outlets that are more trustworthy, if you like, are going to have something about it. But oh my god, what a world! You know
what I found out the other day, and it's circulating on the internet. I don't know if you've seen it. So, do you know the bins in the UK?
Oh god, I can't wait for this.
That says litter on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like in the high street.
Yeah. So they've got a shiny exterior. Kind of look at them.
Sorry, but what if they're a bit more of a matte exterior?
Well, listen, just go with it, okay? So you've got a shiny exterior. Well, matty kind of, but they look like they're made out of metal, right?
Yeah.
They're not.
Most bins are not metal.
So you know the ones that say litter.
Kick one now.
Yeah. So apparently they're made out of chipboard. So it's going. Have you not seen it? I know. So it's going around and circulating on the internet at the moment.
They're made out of cheap wood.
Chipboard. And I'm literally like,
oh my god, I want to go now.
I saw this, and I just felt so deceived. For 7 years I've been in this country, and I have believed that they're made out of metal, and then I get to, and it just turns around that the UK government are lying. Not that they actually brought out a statement that said they're metal, but come on, you've made us, everyone in the UK who've lived there their entire life, I've told this to.
Can we go bin search for some bins?
We need to see if they're actually
Well, this is obviously somewhere this has happened.
So it's on the internet, right? And it's like this meme that's going around.
Yeah,
and
but this could be one of these fake news things. Someone's made one.
Yeah, so could it be that someone's just photoshopped it? But then I'm like, no, because it is on the internet, and this is where you're like, Nicole, you're just gullible. But I'm like, no, people have actually put time into putting this together, and the photo looks so real that it's chipboard.
Oh my god!
But maybe on our next podcast, we need to confirm if it's.
We could go live on the street. We could say, are you there? Are you outside the bin now? Right, give it a good kick. For me, it would be more expensive to make bins out of wood than it would be to have the pressed metal. Anyway, but what about
more expensive? Do you think out of chipboard?
I don't know.
We need someone. We need.
But what about cake?
What about cake?
Have you seen the Is It Cake program?
I've never watched it though, but I've seen teasers and I've seen trailers and things like that.
Oh my god, they
look so real.
I thought this was I thought it'd be crap. I thought this kind of program would be utter. I'm thinking oh my god, is there nothing else to talk about? What are they, what have they come up with now, thinking there's nothing left to have a TV show about or something?
Yeah, because I'm literally how do you actually make a full season of it? But you've watched it.
I've not binged it.
Yeah.
But oh my god, Like there's a cooking pot with food coming out of it and food next to it, and like I don't know, imagine like broccoli and whatever else.
Yeah.
And there's a real one, and next to it, there's a cake, and it's so insane. I don't know why anyone would need to make a cake out.
Have you seen a lady that makes like people out of cake?
No.
So I think she's in America, and it's absolutely fascinating. So she made Taylor Swift the other day. She's made like Jason Derulo, but like a proper like full body.
And they look real.
Like they look.
Wow.
Well, they don't obviously look. They look like
waxworks.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just fascinating how like the talent. Like, do you know what I mean? I always burn cupcakes, and then you've got people in the world
people can make one look like a.
Like, how do you even do it?
Jason Derulo. You can make a cake. Yeah. So anyway, I was speaking to my daughter, and we were saying like, what sort of things we're talking about on our podcast and like what we're doing. And she was like, "Oh, don't forget to mention killer seagulls." I'm like, "What? What are you on about?" And specifically, she was talking about like seagulls at her school. So she's 14, she's at school. And apparently like they've got a real seagull problem. So like
where did she go to school?
Like
area. What area?
Outskirts of York.
Oh really? So it's close into York?
Yeah. And
so we're not talking about Scarborough over
No,
here.
and do you know what? And I know like for me, like fuck off the seagulls. They should be by the sea.
Yeah.
What are they doing so far inland? They'll be hovering around the Minster here in the middle of York, and it's like, what are they? Yeah, and it's like, fuck off. You don't belong here.
We don't have any chips here, hun. We're at the seaside.
How far does a seagull go inland?
Do you think they just called them seagulls because they were found originally at the sea? Like, why?
That's gonna be the thing, isn't it?
Are they meant to come inland?
Are they?
I'm gonna be laying.
But a seagull. Why is
in
a seagull
bed tonight
called
thinking
a seagull?
about this?
Because it's they definitely come from sea areas.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'd just be.
So what are they doing in York?
I don't know. Sorry, I've lost.
You've lost it.
You've thrown
so
me off
your daughter.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
killer
seagulls.
seagulls.
Yeah. So she was saying like at school they've got a massive problem with seagulls, and like I know it's a thing, and like pigeons, whatever else in a city centre, right? But seagulls can be notorious for like stealing a chip or something.
Oh,
yeah?
I've got a story, but you keep going.
Okay. Well, yours is probably going to be better than mine,
No,
I'm sure, because yours will be like someone's run out with a knife, they're killing a seagull in front of you. Your paramedic friends there.
He broke in.
Yeah, exactly. But no, she was saying like you can't go out with any food, like in the playground. You can't they'll come for you, like these seagulls.
Where's your daughter eating her lunch?
Well, I don't know.
Do they have like a tent? If they're like propped up a tent where the kids all cram in?
Yeah, go in there. Like,
can you just
seagull safe?
Please leave the building. Fastly make your way into the tent. Do not exit unless informed.
Into the anti-seagull, the seagull-proof tent that protects them from their things.
Oh, we're recording. Oh,
that's what we tend to do here. But anyway, so I was just quite shocked that in like inland at a school, kids are like really having to watch their backs on the playground for seagulls coming down, and like she said that some of the children are terrified. I love the word terrified because that's that's big, it's impactful.
Yeah, of course.
And she was saying some of the kids are
them.
terrified.
I'd be terrified.
Outside.
Can you imagine? Like, Mum, I don't want to go to school today. Why do you feel sick? No, seagulls.
Yeah.
Like,
and then my parents are going to be like, what are you on about?
Like, they graduate high school, leave school, and they'll be like, go for their first job interview. So, your English is a little bit worrying. Oh, yeah, it's because I couldn't, it's because the seagulls, miss. Because I couldn't attend school anymore. I had to drop out because of the seagulls in York.
So like with COVID, they upped the kids' grades, right? Because they didn't get all the time in. So like GCSE results, they gave them a bit more points or whatever, or raised the grades.
Sorry for them a bit. So they just like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, because there was no school or whatever, right?
Course,
so like fair enough and stuff. And then there was like, well, I did a little bit of school. But like, yes, maybe the same with the seagulls. At this particular school, they're going to have to raise the grades because the seagulls are impacting the kids' lives.
They
so
go
much.
for like the job interview and they're like, oh yeah, so that was a seagull year. So I can't really talk about that one. Didn't go to school much. But you know what? From 2025, it was all smooth sailing.
That'd be a great excuse, wouldn't it? Okay, right. I know this sounds weird at the job interview, But, we did have a huge problem with seagulls. And so, there was a big problem in school. And if you really talk, there's this thing, isn't there, about if the way you talk about something with somebody, if you've got confidence and sort of like a bit of power in what you're saying, people will believe you.
Yeah.
And this was another thing, I talk about influencers and people sort of like, telling a story and people believing them. And this is true. And I was watching a sort of like a video on this, that when people have got some confidence about them and they tell you something and they tell it with some, some real sort of effort and power going into it, like people believe it because the person sounds really confident and sounds quite sort of dynamic and knowledgeable. And it's like, you could easily like blag something like that, couldn't you, with seagulls and stuff, and say, no, it was a known thing in the area. It was a, if you do a bit of research, you'll be able to read more. You
really see it.
Yeah.
It's on BBC News.
Yeah.
It's a trusted source.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you look it up in 2024 seagulls.
2024 seagull crisis.
In York.
But anyway, you've got an even better murder story about seagulls.
No, it wasn't. It was literally it was nothing exciting at all. It was just that I remember the first time I ever went to the seaside here. It was in I just arrived. I arrived
British
in January 2017.
Yeah.
And I think it was like February. I went to the seaside and we
the best time of year in England to go to the seaside.
It was freezing.
Yeah.
And obviously you can imagine I'm used to Australia beaches.
Yeah.
And so the first place I went to was Whitby.
Oh.
You know what? I loved it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Whitby's beautiful.
And you know what? People are always like, oh, don't you miss Australia? And I'm like, I do. Like, absolutely, I miss the beaches and things like that and the heat. But then at the same time, like, it's such a beautiful part of the world as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, England is just so beautiful and diverse, and I just love it. So that's a completely different subject. But I was having my ice cream, and
what flavour?
What
flavour did you go for?
It was probably mint choc chip.
Oh,
I love a mint choc chip. Yeah,
I'm not as a kid. Mint choc chip was my absolute go-to.
Yeah.
Now I'm a bit more sort of chocolatey and
Are
creamy.
you chocolate, like double chocolate with like bits
dark,
in it?
like a bit Belgian-y. Yeah.
Oh, Belgium.
And stracciatella, which is like a creamy, chocolatey, chippy kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you like?
I was mint choc chip.
Gelato, like gelato ice cream.
Gelato or gelato?
Yeah. Oh,
gelato.
I always thought it was gelato.
It's gelato.
That's just my accent.
Anyway,
just ignore
gelato's beautiful.
Gelato is lovely.
You've got American now. Anyway, back to the ice cream seagull incident.
So anyway, no, because it wasn't even my ice cream that they ate. I was just having an ice cream, and then I was like, oh, get some chips. So I had some chips. I was eating my chip, and the story literally is that the seagull just flew down and got my chip and then left. But this was like one of my first experiences on the British seaside. So the seagull flew down and just grabbed my chip. And it was the first experience that I'd really had on the British seaside. So
it's just cheeky, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
But
it was a shock. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I pretty much, like they just swoop down. They're so quick, aren't they? So I was just kind of like threw the rest of my chip. So then that was gone. That was like £8. Because when you're on the seaside, how expensive it is, isn't it? So I literally like threw it and that was it. And I was like, not going back there.
The sort of shadow of impending doom of a seagull coming down and like...
Because they can't just be quiet about it, can they? They're literally so dramatic. They've got to make a proper scene.
I think they make a big entrance to put a bit of fear into you. Yeah. So they can get away with what they want.
They're just like, I'm here. Like,
I'm having your chips.